We're here at UK Games Expo.
Hey.
Grant, how's it going? How's been the show for you so far?
Well, it's been great. You know, I mean, the number one thing I'd say is everybody's so welcoming. You know, the amount of people that have come up to me and just been like, it's so awesome you're here. Like, it's very heartwarming. It's very joyful. Like, I feel happy that people are happy that I'm here, and I'm just happy to explore and meet people and all that stuff.
Have you been to UK Games Expo before?
This is my first time. This is my first time at a convention in Europe, actually. Wow. I've probably been to 75 conventions in America.
Just a couple then, yeah?
Yeah. But this is my first time at a convention in Europe.
And how does it feel? How does it compare?
It's interesting because, like, overall, it feels fairly similar to some of the big conventions we have in the States, like Gen Con or PAX Unplugged, where it's really focused on all of the different stands and people showing off new things and everybody's going to try demos and stuff like that. But, you know, again, I think it's really friendly and it's really welcoming. So that has stood out to me.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
So you've got your show tonight, 6 o'clock, is that right?
I do, yeah. I'm doing my board game comedy hour. It's a whole hour of stand-up all about board games.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite part of that?
My favorite part is having people coming up to me afterwards and going like, man, that was so relatable. Or like, I felt like you were talking straight to me.
Yeah.
You know, like I've worked hard to make it a show for the board game community.
Yeah.
And so it just, people are like, oh God, that hit close to home. You know, I like hearing that. It's probably my favorite part.
Out of all the bits of material you've got, what's the one bit you think, yeah, this is the one that people maybe come up to you at the end and maybe didn't expect, or the one that really hit close to home?
There are different ones, like, there are my favorite ones and then the audience's favorite ones, right? And I'll tell you, probably the audience's favorite one is when I say, my older sister, you know, she plays games with me all the time. And one time she was like, you know what I would love to play? And I was like, what? Tell me, I'll play anything with you. And she was like, I would love to play anything for the second time. And I'm like, no. And people love that. But my favorite joke in the set is probably like, to anybody in this room, to anybody here at UK Games Expo, if you are here, board games is probably not a hobby anymore. It's really more of a lifestyle. And I think something switches from hobby to lifestyle when you get to the point that if you die, it becomes a burden on your loved ones. So,
when you've got IKEA Kallaxes, shelves full of it.
A lot of burdens in here, you know?
Yeah. So what's one of the, you know, I suppose, most special things for you about coming to a convention?
Just the opportunity to meet people. I mean, the board games are great and they're fun, but it's the community that really makes this hobby special.
Yeah.
It's all the people that are here. I don't think I've ever been part of such a open and inclusive community before. And so I really just like meeting people and getting to know what people are playing and what they're excited about and all of that. You know, at the end of the day, board games are good at facilitating social interaction and creating memories. And I love board games for that, but it's the memories you make with the people at the table that'll last with you a lot longer.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's those experiences, isn't it? And you can always think back to, I did this when I was at this age, and you can even visualize where you were, who you were with, you know, everything that was going on is like this kind of moment capsulized. And I think that's wonderful about it. And there are so many things here, from, you know, TCGs to cosplay to role-play games. There's something really for everyone, right?
I always tell people that. I'm like, come to a board game convention. Even if you don't think you like board games, you will find something you like.
Yeah.
There is something out there. Do you like rock climbing? There's a board game for that.
Yeah.
Do you like trail mix? You know?
Yeah.
There's a board
Formula
game for
One,
everything.
play a game of Heat, right?
Yes, exactly.
Easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's great. One of the things then, okay, so this is your first time at UK Games Expo.
Yeah.
What would be your top tip for somebody that's thinking of coming to UK Games Expo next time?
My top tip is do what you want to do and don't be afraid to take breaks.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes people come in to a convention like this and it's a lot, right? There are a lot of games to see. There's a lot of people here. And I think people can feel overwhelmed the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, there's no rule about going outside for half an hour and just chilling, you know, and then come back in. Don't feel like you got to get to every single booth, you know?
Yeah.
Just take it at your own pace and enjoy it.
I remember walking out on the Friday in the Viking village.
Yeah.
They were playing, I think, The Hobbit.
Yeah,
outside, and I was like, I'm really jealous.
Yeah.
I want to be sat outside watching The Hobbit right now on a massive screen. And that's, I think, one of the great things about it is that there is literally so much to do.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what's been one of your favorite ever experiences about going to a convention? What's like a bit in your think, okay, I'll always remember that for the rest of my life?
Sure. I maybe my favorite moment at a convention ever was my dad came to visit me at a convention on the East Coast because I was an hour away from where he was. And so he came on Sunday of a convention when I was there. And my dad's, older at this point and likes to play games, but doesn't play a lot of games outside of playing with me or my sisters. And so he came and joined for the Sunday of the convention. And we went out to lunch, and then we came out. I was like, come play a game with us.
Yeah.
And a couple of my friends, we put a game called Camel Up on the table. And it is a fun, silly racing betting game. And there was a moment in the game where he and I both had bet on the purple camel, and the only way it was going to pay out for us is if a purple die came out of the dice tower and landed on a 3. It had to be specifically that scenario, right? And so we're both invested in this. It happens. It hits the 3. Both of us are like, yeah. And then the entire room started like cheering and clapping. And so we were like excited, and then everybody else got excited for us. Yeah. And my dad still brings that up. He's like, remember when people cheered for us at that convention? And he loves it and I love it. And it was just like, you can see when people, like when it clicks for them, when they're like, oh, I get why this is so addictive and fun and stuff. So I was really fun to like experience that moment with my dad.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So I want to ask a little bit more questions about you, if that's okay.
Sure.
So when was the transitional point before, obviously you've been playing board games for a long time, right? Everybody has, you're at Christmas, a board game comes out, Monopoly, there's a family fight, obviously, you know it. And at what point, though, what job did you do before you kind of work now in the industry? And when did you kind of make that transition?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I am a comedian. I've been a comedian for a long time. I started doing stand-up in like 2005. So I've been a comedian for over 20 years now. And then my sort of foray into the modern board game world was a comedian friend of mine started hosting game nights for other comedians. And I just loved it. And then I started hosting game nights and stuff after that. But I never talked about board games on stage or came to conventions really professionally, made content about them. And it wasn't until the pandemic when all of my tour dates were canceled. And I live with a couple other comedians in Los Angeles, and all of their tour dates were canceled too. And so before the pandemic, I was a guy that owned 100 board games, which is a lot compared to most people, but not a lot compared to the people at this convention. You know what I mean? And so I just was like, oh, a lot of my friends don't know what board games to check out. Like, they don't know anything about board games, and I need a creative outlet with my
hobby,
shows being canceled. And I felt like board games were really helping me get through a tough time in my life, and in all of our lives during the pandemic.
Such a weird moment in time, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just started making videos about the board games that we were playing in my house, and I didn't really think it was going to be a thing. Like, the only place I put them up was like my Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And people were like, man, you should put these videos out like more. They're pretty good. And I was like, oh, I'm just making them for my friends.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't doing this as a thing. I was just trying to help my friends find some games. And a lot of my friends were like, no, put them on YouTube, man. Put them on, do something like that. And I was like, all right. So after a couple of months of just making videos for my friends, then I started putting them out on other places, and then it grew way more than I expected it to. And I started coming to these events and loved it more than I expected to, and met a lot of friends and, hung out with people more than I expected to. And it just, the board games is what got me here, but the people are what kept me coming back.
I think, I always think there's a silver lining to be found in some of the worst situations. And COVID was a bad situation for me as well. My background, I used to coach a lot of personal trainers, actors, bodybuilders online.
Okay.
And none of them had any work.
Yeah.
So my business crashed.
Sure.
It died within a couple of months.
Yeah.
And with all that uncertainty, I went live every single day. I'd only just started my YouTube channel the year before, talking about Warhammer and you know, strategy board game, you know, tabletop war games. And I went live every day.
Nice.
At the same time. And I wasn't getting millions of views. But I served a group of people that tuned in every day because I might have been their only person they spoke to that day.
Yeah, totally.
And I think I look back out of all the things I've done, that was a moment in my life where I'm really glad I did it. And, you know, I didn't want to go live every day. I was like either sick or tired or, you know, whatever. But you do it and you show up. And, and it was actually because of that helped me go from my previous job to something I love, and I'm so grateful for, because we have these amazing opportunities, and so I think we might have that in common a little bit, that it really shaped who we are now, right?
Yeah, I think that's very true. And you know, again, that's like probably my favorite thing, is bringing new people into the hobby. That's what like gets me the most energized, is welcoming people. Like I don't, you know, sometimes people want to call you a content creator or an influencer or all of that sort of stuff. I kind of just think of myself as an ambassador. Like I'm not an influencer. I'm not a content. I'm an ambassador that wants to welcome people to the hobby.
Yeah,
you know?
I do exactly the same. I appreciate that a lot. So I've got, what would be one last thing you would leave somebody with? If you had to pass on one message, and it can be about anything in life at all, what would that message be?
Games should be fun. Make sure you're having fun with them.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope your show goes really great tonight. Thank you so much for coming to the UK Games Expo. It's a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
And I wish you all the best.
Everybody. Yeah.